Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Curry Talks, a show where we take a closer look and learn about the people in our Curry community. I'm your host, Scott McPherson, and today we have ourselves a special guest who is kind enough to join us for the day. Joan Geltman from the psychology department at the college. She has a master's in social work and has been at Curry for 28 years alongside me, a parenting coach, a writer, and a public speaker. She's going to talk to us a bit about the field, giving us some valuable information that the average person may not know about the topic, which might just pique your interest enough to take a closer look yourself. Hope you're doing well today, Geltman.
I'm doing great. Thanks, Scott.
So, I know people are eager for answers with all that buildup, so I'll just get right into it. To start us off, how would you define psychology as a science?
It is the study of human behavior and emotion, people's emotional life.
I see. And there are many different branches to that stemming
People
science,
can
right?
work in the field. They can do sort of traditional one-on-one psychotherapy. They can work with couples. They can work with families. They can work with companies who are dealing with organizational management issues. Maybe a boss is turning off his employees and they're not working optimally, and so maybe they might hire a psychologist or a social worker to help him with or her with her interpersonal skills and management style. You might work in criminal justice, trying to profile and understand people who are engaging in criminal activities. Certainly there are social workers who work in hospital and medical centers to help people cope with diseases and medical issues. So there's people in marketing who work with helping people brand products and figuring out what products appeal to what people and why, what emotional connection do they feel. So there's many ways that psychology can is part of our life.
I see. Okay, so bringing it to a more personal aspect, once you began to really involve yourself in the study of psychology, how did your opinion on it change, if at all?
I think what I learned the most is you can have all the theory in the world and you can have read many books, but you have to understand yourself and what you're bringing to the table as a person, so that because you're interacting with another person and you have to know the kinds of things that could cause a problem in a relationship or could cross boundaries in a relationship. So you have to know yourself, one, and two, developing a relationship that it's making a person feel comfortable in the setting. Starting from where they are, you can't go into it with your own agenda of, oh, this is what you need to do. You have to understand where they are in the present moment.
I see. Now, as I understand it, since you brought it up, psychology is largely rooted in theory. Many such theories are covered in the curriculum that you teach. Is there a way to concretely prove or disprove the theories put forth by psychology researchers, especially when they tend to clash?
Well, there are, people do Curry offers, I don't teach it, but people that, experimental psychology is testing certain techniques, certain kinds of, there's always new cognitive behavioral therapy is a new, in terms of changing the tapes that we have in our head that sometimes cause us to behave in certain ways that we believe something. They did many studies with many people to see whether or not that technique or that strategy works. So there's been a lot of research on specific techniques that people use in helping people to discover what it is that they need to know about themselves in order to be able to cope with life. So, there's been many studies, and, like in everything in life, some studies come out one way, but usually in psychology, if they're studying a particular technique, they're going to go back into the literature and see what experiments and what kind of observational work has been done and build on that.
I see. Definitely seems a lot more touchy with how intangible
Well, when
things
you're
with
talking about
psychology tend to be.
behavior, nothing's predictable. I mean, you can't predict emotion. So some of it is left to the talents of the therapist.
I see.
They have an understanding of human behavior and what causes people to feel and experience certain things. And so, you know, it's a lot about your own personality and your own self-understanding.
I see. So with all of that in mind, what tangible benefits do you think students with intimate knowledge of psychology and human development may acquire for those thinking of taking courses on the subject?
Well, in my courses, I do want students to understand themselves, because then they, you know, again, because once you can apply the theory to your own life, it gives you experience and understanding somebody else's life. And I think people will learn how development changes people, that you can't, that the expectations you have of a person at 6 years old are going to be different than the expectations you have of a 16-year-old. Their brains are different. Their ability to understand emotion is different. Their ability to be able to be introspective enough to understand behavior. So you have to understand the developmental stages in order to understand how and why people are thinking and feeling the way they're feeling. You need to be able to understand family and how that impacts behavior and emotion and development. Sort of the understanding the difference between nature and nurture. What are the things that we're born with and how do they affect us? And what are the things we're born into, from the family all the way to whatever culture or universe we live in? Those are going to affect how we behave.
I see. Okay. Very enlightening stuff. Well, that will about do it for now. Thank you so much for coming on with us today. And thank you all as well for watching. I'm Scott McPherson, and I hope to see you again for another installment of Curry Talks. See you next time.
Hey.
Good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Alexis LaMonica, and this is the program where members of the Curry College community learn more about each other. Today's guest is Alan Frank. He is a professor and director of the Curry College radio station 91.5 WMLN-FM, and he's going to help us learn more about his extraordinary 45-year career at Curry, coming to a close with retirement. It's the end of an era.
It is, isn't it? That's so true.
Well,
I've earned it the hard way, so it's all good.
I know you started off as an on-air DJ. Could you tell us?
Long ago.
Yeah.
Sure. I was a DJ, but also I was managing public radio stations. I worked commercially. I did some invoicers and so forth. But I worked in Los Angeles. I worked around the country. I was all over the place. DJs do that. Yeah, I lived in about 7 or 8 different states. But music director, I was program manager, and general manager of about 5 or 6 different stations that are NPR stations. And a little more powerful than ours. Ours is 172 watts. My last station was 100,000 watts, that kind of thing.
What a change of events.
Big station. They're a larger station. It's been fun. Yeah, I'll let you ask questions. I'll keep talking.
Was it always your plan to end up at Curry, or did you kind of?
No, it was not my plan. Well, actually, I was at Byrd State University. WKMS-FM was the 100,000 watt station. And we served like 3 states because of the power of the station. And it was in the middle of nowhere, Western Kentucky. I really liked it there. At the same time, there wasn't much to do. I was running the station, teaching some classes. And I was looking to get back into a city. And Curry popped, and there was a city, Boston. I'm thinking, okay, I can do that. Had some family back here at the time. And I went through the process, and I was hired, became the director of radio, the first faculty member full-time. That was to be running the radio station and enhancing it, building it up. And I did that all these years.
Good for you.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Good for me.
And I understand you've been involved with the Curry radio station for over 40 years. You must 42?
Yes, 40.
Okay. So you must have started reflecting on your time here. Can you tell us a few moments that stuck out to you over the years, if any?
Well, there's some consistency, for one thing. What I didn't have before in public radio, even though we're university, it was an NPR public radio station, so that you basically didn't really have many faculty. If I had faculty that were assigned to me, they worked for me, but they were like the news director, program director, that I had, a chief engineer. And that was my job, raising money and coordinating grants that we were doing as well, and just overseeing the radio station. Coming to Curry was more of a challenge because first it was a smaller station. At the time I took over, it was 10 watts. So we get out, 10. We get out the front gate. But you know, I had to build a station based on that. But then the FCC came up with a ruling that said all Class D radio stations, which we were going to be you know, taken off. They're gone. So we had a choice: go to 100 watts or go off the air. So it became a Class A station. So I spent my first few months doing that. We increased our power to 100, then eventually it'll be 172 watts, which was the max that we could get in the area. But we had a lot of new equipment, the transmitter, and we were able to, because of our height above average terrain, we were able to basically broadcast for about 40 miles. So that was a little different. All of a sudden, we had an audience potential that was quite large.
Right.
The station basically was under the Student Government Association and terribly effective in raising money. We didn't have any when I got there, but that changed. And then we brought in where we became part of the communication department and gave credits to students that would work at the station. Before that, it was all volunteer. Yeah, see, and yeah, I think they didn't see you. Are you being seen also as you're interviewing me? I'm just curious. I have to ask that question.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, good. Then I can go. Okay. Cool. Very nice. So what came of that is that we built a student population. I had about 20 students when I first came along, and built it up to the point where at one year we had over 100 students at the radio station. It was very popular. It still is, but it's gone down a bit. It's kind of leveled off. And we still have a lot of students. And over the years, a lot of years, I have students that graduated back in 1980. They come to visit, and do your math. They're in their early 60s.
Wow.
You know, they were like 22 when they graduated. That's 40 years ago.
That is so cool.
So when you think about that, I've had kids whose parents were working at the station. I've had that too. So at one time, as a younger person, I was their father figure, and now I became their grandfather figure.
That is so cool.
So it's been a good ride. I really had a good time. The students have been great. I had a ball. This has been a good career.
I'm so glad.
No complaints. Really, it's been great.
It's important.
Yeah.
And all right, so you're retiring.
Yeah, next point. Yeah, I can help you.
You're retiring this year on the 45th anniversary of the
Yeah, that's true.
station.
That's true.
Um,
Couldn't celebrate it though. We were kind of off running because of this horror story that we're living through.
I know.
Yeah, it's a terrible situation.
It really is. Very weird. But do you have any particular thing that you'll miss most about?
Oh, that's very simple. Well, obviously, the radio station itself. I've been in that same office since I started. I mean, I've been there. Okay. I'll miss my students.
Yeah.
You guys, Joan, have kept me very young. Music. Of course, I was an older father, so my son has kept me young. Well, so the music, I'm up with it. You know, I'm a cool dude. And expressions, I know music that my colleagues probably don't know about because they're contemporary. And I'm into that. And I've gone to a lot of concerts with my son out every so often, some of the current group, some of the newer groups in New York. So it's been a real kick. So it's kept me young. It really has. I mean, I'm having a birthday next week this Sunday, and I'm gonna be old.
Happy birthday! Happy early birthday!
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How old I'm gonna be? I'll tell you. You don't have to.
25.
You see, you're cheating. How do you know? I'm gonna be 76.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said the other day. I looked in the mirror one day and said, "Oh my God, I become my father." So but I'm still here, you know. God bless. You know, it's great.
Oh yeah. As a student involved with the station myself, I've noticed how strong of a bond you have and you form with all the students pretty much. And what accomplishments by the students over the years are you most proud of or that stick out to you? And do you plan on visiting in the future?
Oh yeah, visiting. Oh, definitely, sure. And keeping in touch with my students. I have been in touch with a lot of, I graduated, I was told this, I didn't realize it's over 2,500 students since I've been at, it's a population of, but it's been cool. But as far as, I'm very proud to see many of them going into the business and becoming very successful managers, on-air personalities. One of them actually is currently in Boston, who graduated 2 years ago. And is a Boston DJ. And he was our production director. He's an incredibly talented fellow. And I'm not surprised. A lot of my kids are just very talented. They learn by doing, the hands-on thing. It's not like you're reading a textbook and say, oh, if we had a microphone, this is what it would look like. Look at the book. No. You learn by doing things. You don't learn by talking about what it would be like.
Right.
That's been great.
You have to dive in. Just like my first year at the station, I was like, how am I going to talk on the microphone? It's on air.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's great.
You learn how to do it. You have to build confidence. And I tell the students, hey, don't crack the mic yet. Just do what you have to do. Do the public service announcements that are already pre-recorded. And eventually, what am I going to say? Well, write it down before you open the microphone. You get a comfort level. And when you're really get familiar with the technology, that helps a lot more as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a learning curve. It takes a while. It's like driving a car. You got to learn how to do it.
Exactly. And speaking of technology, it is always changing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Have you experienced any major obstacles to keep up with it all?
No obstacles, because it's a matter of just having to spend money. The college has been very supportive and upgrading. Going back in time, it's like we had reel-to-reel tape recorders. Oh, now we have CD players. Now we have computers that you've done that in soft touch computers. We don't need CD players. We don't need turntables. And I'm using terms now you may not know. We don't need cart decks. And those are things we needed.
Right.
Everything was on records back in the day, and we bought turntables that were very good. I always went for the best and the most durable, because if you're learning on something, you want to make sure that it doesn't break easily.
Totally.
So it wasn't as fancy, but it was quality. And that's what I was looking for. I had students going, doing internships, coming back saying, we have better equipment than the station I'm interning at. And I said, what's your point? I know that. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
College, as I said, is very generous and very supportive. And I really appreciate President Quigley and Provost Zabaki. And they've been all these folks have been great. They've been very helpful.
That is so important. That's really good news.
It is. And of course, what I'll miss most, maybe I already said that, but I'll say it again if I didn't, that's I'll miss you guys. That has been wonderful. That's been the reason I've been there. There's no other reason. Years ago, I was teaching at Cal State University. Long ago, I was running their radio station in the early 70s. And one of the teachers in my department said, this would be a great place to work if it wasn't for all these damn kids. It wasn't for all these, So I said, well, it wasn't for all these damn kids, we wouldn't have a job. Oh, I guess that's but really, I've loved it. You have your ups and downs, but who focuses on the downs? I've learned not to do that. But I learned to do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. So,
when I explain my interests or plans to people, I have repeatedly heard radio's dying, what are you going to do? Yet it still thrives. So what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, as a radio person, first of all, television. Jerry, are you listening? I guess you will. TV is a passing phase. TV is just an experiment. Radio is where it's at. We have to use our mind's eye, our imagination. Radio gives us that opportunity. Marsh McLuhan said, hey, the hot-cold medium. Hot medium is radio. Television's cold. It just feeds us information. We don't have to use our imagination. What's the point? But seriously, as far as radio, yeah, of course, there's a lot of competition. There are other things that don't have commercials, that are not intrusive. I think you're missing the DJ personalities. I think the kids are really against hooked on. And they're still there. I think it has to reinvent some of itself. I think FM is fairly strong still. AM has always been on the edge, only because of FM initially, and now with the other media that are out there, it has had an impact. But it's going to survive. Eventually, someone's going to come up with this great idea to perpetuate AM and FM radio. Still around. They're going to stay around.
I hope so.
I believe that. I really believe that. It'll be a different animal. I mean, it has to. Things change. Look at computers. You get a nice new computer. Oh, it's really great. Or an iPhone. Isn't that great? Yeah. 2 years later, oh, we have another iPhone. It's different. That's and a computer. I just got this computer. It's a year old, and now it's another computer that's just like it, but it does all this other stuff. What? It was radio.
Good point.
Get to it. Fix itself. It'll be here.
Those are good points. You're right. I'm on board with you on that one.
I appreciate it.
And finally, do you have any tips for incoming students, incoming freshmen?
Go to class. Don't get messed up by the upper class. Don't do as they do. Be your own person. You're there for one reason, to get a degree. That's your focus. This is a means to an end. This is not the end. If this is the end, you've got a problem. Really. I mean, you have to really focus on your classes. You're freer than you were in high school. The bells are not going to ring. You're not going to get party slipped. You're not going to go to the main office and say I was late or whatever. No one's going to hound you. There are teachers, and I was one of them, that'll say, hey, I think I know who you are, but I don't think you've been in class for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that impacts on your grade. And it impacts on your work. I mean, it has to. So freshmen, right through seniors, though, do your work, graduate with high marks. Kind of like a job, you want to get the best income you can, best payroll, and it's kind of like that. An A to me is, a lot of money. An F, not so great. You get nothing.
Living off bologna for the rest of your life.
You don't like bologna?
No, not bad.
Okay. So change my diet. Okay. But no, exactly though. You have to really prepare yourself for a change. You're independent. You're on your own, and you have to organize your time properly.
I agree.
And don't get involved with people that are going to mess you up.
Right.
No, really.
I know.
A lot of stuff out there. Just be careful. Pick your friends carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my advice.
I think it's great advice. Well, unless you have any last minute tidbits, do you? Overall?
I always have this expression. I tell my graduating seniors, not all of them, because I don't know, but I think with Curry College, no matter what happens with what we're going on now, and hopefully it's going to pass and we'll be okay, and I'm very optimistic about that, and I think it's good to be optimistic about the situation. Otherwise, if yourself. But I think Curry's going to be fine, and I think that the growth possibility of the college will stabilize and be very good. Radio and television, public relations, and all the theater will still be doing very well. There will be students coming in that want to learn. Before I came here, this is the smallest college years I've ever been in. My last college was 20,000 students. One in Illinois was 25,000 students, 1,100 faculty.
Wow.
I mean, I only was out of large universities with my radio station. This has been the smallest. Okay, I'm going to say that since I'm retiring. The larger universities, you can kind of get absorbed. No one knows who you are. And same with students, I guess. And they know who you are, but not the same way where a smaller college has it. So if you do anything, people notice it. Sometimes maybe you don't do the right thing. I know what you did.
That is so true.
A large university. I'm sorry, do you work here?
Yeah.
So, hey, there's advantages to both.
Right.
That's my tidbits. I don't have a lot more except wishing you well. And what are you? You're a senior, are you not? Or yeah, you're graduating.
I know.
I know. I think the college. I know. Yeah. This wasn't quite what you had in mind for graduation. It certainly wasn't what I had in mind for retirement.
I know.
What a way to go out, both of us,
What is the deal? I know.
Yeah, that sucks. It really does. It's terrible.
I know. We're gonna have to make up for it somehow.
I think the college will. I know. I've heard little rumblings. I think they will. I mean, they want to. We all want to.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I'll come back. I'll come back to visit for sure.
Good. I'm glad. That's good news to me.
Really.
Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you for your time, Alan. I hope you know how appreciative both the students and faculty are of you and everything you've done for us. Your legacy will live on at Curry forever, and you're going to leave some big shoes to fill. So thank you for everything. We're going to miss you a lot.
I'll miss you too. I'll miss all you guys. I'm glad you joined the radio station. You were a late joiner, but I'm glad you did. And,
me too.
Yeah, well, I know you were. It's really cool. Well, take care of yourself. All the best. Good luck in the future. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from each other. Let's keep in touch for sure.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Thank you again.
Welcome.
Tune in for another episode of Curry Talks.
Yeah, I got to see that. Got to see how much of a fool I made of myself.
You're great.
Edit that. Okay.
Have a good one. Thank you again.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Alex Hollenbeck, and this is a program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other. Today's guest is Jake MacNeil. He is a junior football player at Curry and will help us learn more about the differences between living on campus here at Curry and living at a house off campus. Welcome, Jake.
Hello.
So you had lived on campus for about 2.5 years, from Scholars to 886, and then to finally Bell Hall. How was that experience for you?
That experience for me was actually really great, and it gave me a really good opportunity to meet some of my closest friends at Curry. It also helped me with a large change in schoolwork from high school into college, and it helped me grow more accustomed to the college lifestyle.
Nice. So it sounds like you did enjoy your time on campus. Tell me, what was your deciding factor in moving from campus to your house now?
Well, there was actually quite a few factors that went into that decision. Some of it had to do with my roommate situations were never really quite ideal. Our schedules just never lined up. I wasn't really an early morning person, so we were into different things and stuff like that. Then this past semester, there was an opportunity to live in a house with some of my closest friends off campus, so I jumped on that opportunity as soon as it opened up to me.
Nice. Living off campus comes with a lot of freedom, but also to a lot of responsibilities tied to it. When compared to living on campus, which do you prefer?
I would definitely prefer living off campus, and I'm definitely going to continue to live off campus for the rest of my college career. I have a lot more freedom when I'm off campus. Also, I really think it's a perfect time in my life to try things out, like being more responsible and living in a house and things like that, just so I can see what it's like when I get out of college.
Right, that makes sense. So I understand you're a student athlete. How does living off campus versus on campus affect that aspect of your college lifestyle?
Living off campus affects the student athlete part of my life quite a lot. Just making my schedules different, because before living off campus, it didn't really matter when I picked my classes because I was right there next to the field and everything. And now I have to try to set my classes up so that I can come to school once and not have to leave until practice is over, so I'm not going back and forth.
Right, that makes sense. So I know before you moved off campus, you were fairly involved in on-campus activities. Do you find it harder to stay connected while living off campus?
I would say yes and no. As we said earlier, I'm a student athlete, so I'm on campus almost all day, 6 days a week. However, it definitely makes it difficult because whenever I'm on campus, I'm either in class or at practice or working out. So I don't really have a ton of free time while I'm on campus. When I do, I'm definitely trying to get more involved in the school activities.
Right, makes sense. So when changing your living space, that's a huge deal for most people. About how long do you think that it took you to adapt to the new living situation?
Looking back, I adapted much faster than I originally thought I would. I think part of it was that I moved in the middle of the semester, so that made it a little more difficult. But it was right as I moved in, my academics was fine, football season was all set, and being completely immersed in everything like that and getting going was really helpful in adapting to the new situation.
Nice. That's some awesome input on living off campus. Thank you very much for your time today, Jake. I'm Alex Hollenbeck. Please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Sounds good. Thank you, Alex.
Good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm John Ross McEvilly, and today we have Arianna Viscione, a 4-year starter on the women's soccer team and a graduate in 2018. So today she'll dig into what it's like to be a student athlete and how to be most successful. Welcome, Arianna. So it's been 4 years since you left Curry. What do you miss the most?
Hi, John Ross. I'd have to say I definitely miss playing soccer the most. It was a big part of my life, and I made really good friendships from that.
Cool. So did you come here because you liked what you saw in the soccer program, or is it more of an education-based decision?
I'd have to say it was a little bit of both. At first, I was recruited for soccer. Curry definitely wasn't on my list of schools, but once I was recruited and I looked more into the school and to the education programs, I really liked everything that they had to offer.
Nice. So you were a 4-year starter on the women's soccer team. What were some standout memories you have from playing?
A lot of memories that I had was that with being a team that was here in like Milton, right outside Boston, we played a lot of teams around here. And growing up, I had a lot of friends who played in the same conference that I played in. So I got to play against these friends and make that type of memory with them.
Nice. So I know you spent some time living on campus and some commuting. Which did you prefer out of the two?
At first, I definitely thought that I liked living on campus, but I thought because I lived so close, I gave commuting a shot, and I ended up loving it. I loved living at home. It was like I had the option of being on campus all the time with soccer and friends, but I also got to go home and kind of escape from the school for a moment and just enjoy time with my family.
Right. So you majored in health management. Was it difficult to balance that schoolwork with like practices and team meetings and stuff like that? How were you able to manage the two things?
I'd have to say my freshman and sophomore year, I struggled a bit trying to balance practices and classes and exams and everything. But come junior and senior year, I really found that I was able to balance going to practice to doing homework and commuting back home.
So if there was someone to be struggling, probably not right now because of coronavirus, but in regular times, someone struggling with that balance between sports and school, how would you give them some advice to what they can do to power through to be the most successful?
What I found that helped me the most was just having a set schedule. I felt in like a specific routine. I felt like that really helped me managing what time I got up, and I'd work out, I'd go to class, and I'd go to practice, and just really helped me manage my grades and going to soccer and being able to handle everything.
Nice. So you graduated with a degree in health management. Are you still working in the health field, and how has the coronavirus impacted your work?
So currently I have been working at Mass Pioneer for over a year now. I'm a nursing assistant. And I'm going to school in the fall, but the coronavirus has definitely played a big role in that. I usually work on a pediatric surgical floor, but because they're not doing any elective surgeries anymore, they transform my floor to a COVID unit. So it's definitely a bit different for me, but I feel like I'm really learning, and I'm learning a lot more myself and how I'm able to help these people that are sick.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you being on the front lines and all you're doing for us here at school. And that'll wrap things up today. Thank you for coming on the show, Arianna.
Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Cecil and this is the program where members of the Curry College community learn more about each other. Today's guest is Richie Martinez. He's from Springfield, Mass., went to Putnam Vocational Technical Academy, and he is also a first-year student here at Curry, majoring in business. And he will be telling us more about his major and help us learn more about what it takes to become a business major. Welcome, Richie.
First of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, tell me, why Curry?
I chose Curry because I wanted a school that was like a community. So when I visited Curry and after orientation, I definitely got that community vibe from it. And I also wanted a school that was in the Boston area due to internship reasons. So Curry fit perfectly for me.
So I have to take intro to business classes and other courses to accommodate your major. What are those classes and how many do you take, and like if you know like the credit situation?
I'm not too aware of the credit situation, but I take economics classes related to my business. I take managing info systems. So I usually take around 2 business major classes a semester. Aside from that, I take psychology classes, sociology classes, and a first-year inquiry, which is actually required for freshmen.
Some of those classes are more difficult, of course. So which classes give you the hardest time, and which classes are most easiest for you, and why?
I definitely say my economic class is one of my harder classes, as in that class we move very fast-paced. High school, I wasn't that used to going fast-paced, so when I came to college and I entered that class, it was something new to me, so something I had to adjust to. As far as classes that are easier, I definitely say my reading, writing, and research from first semester. It was more like something I was used to because I took AP English in high school, so it was like I didn't really have to adjust myself that much for that class.
And I understand you're looking to open a business. Tell me more about the business, and is that the reason why you chose business management as your major?
Yeah, I definitely chose business management as my major for one of those reasons. Another reason is I wanted to be my own boss in the future. So I definitely want to go down the entrepreneur lane. So as far as my business, I want to open up my own brand, clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause I have a graphic design background from high school, so that will definitely help as I mix it with business.
And what internships do you think can get you to that level, or what internships have you been looking for to get you there?
I'd definitely say an internship where I'm close to the company boss. The company I would like to be in an internship with is where a boss is kind of got his company from the ground up as I'm looking to do myself. So if I'm close with the boss, interacting with the boss, I can definitely learn and get mentored by that company owner.
And say you get hired to start your own business, how do you envision your life 10 years from now? Like, what's the goal, the primary goal?
10 years from now is be as successful as I can, put in all the hard work I can. I definitely see myself being a successful business owner with a good amount of clientele behind me. You know, being able to be in a position where I'm able to support my family, my friends, my loved ones.
And say this crisis lasts even longer than it has, do you see it affecting your long-time goals, or do you feel like you could still obtain those goals?
Definitely, I can still attain those goals. I feel like anything's possible no matter the circumstances. So it definitely affects me a little, though, as obviously we have to do online courses because of the coronavirus. And I'm not that much of a fan of those, as I'm more of an in-class learner, like to interact with my professors.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something I have to adjust to, get used to. But it actually is a benefit, too, because I see myself researching more about what I want to do with this online clothing, branding. I learn more off the computer, research more. So it's definitely been a benefit, and it's definitely been some negatives to it.
And lastly, what advice would you give incoming freshmen who are looking to become a business major or just don't know their major at all?
Advice for incoming freshmen is definitely, when it comes to your classes, it's all time management, really. So it's not that much different from high school as long as you manage your time the way you're supposed to and use your resources wisely. We have a library, we have a reading center, writing center, we have all that. Just use your resources wisely, use your professors, use your office hours. And when it just comes to being a freshman in general, make as many friends as possible. Meet as many people as possible. As you go down further in the road, those will be the people that are still with you and you could possibly still be friends with after college.
Great advice. I appreciate you being on the show today. Have a blessed day. I'm Cecil Villa. Please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Thanks for having me.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Conor, Hanlon, and this is a program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other. Today's guest that I've brought is John Trevino. He's an undecided major and transfer student in his freshman year from Edinburgh, Texas. He has traveled over halfway across the country to participate for the school's baseball program that was 7-2 in the shortened coronavirus season. Welcome to the show, John. And I understand that before Curry, you went to Laredo College, a junior college in Texas, prior to attending Curry. Care to explain some of the differences between a junior college and a four-year school?
Hey, Conor, thanks for having me. I think one of the biggest differences with the junior college, it's so much smaller that everyone really gets to know each other. And I know Curry is a bit of a small campus, and it sort of feels like a junior college because of like the amount of people that are there. But like really in a junior college, like especially in a small town, you really only go there for sports and like or people who live in the city to get there. So like the big difference is how close to professors and the students really get. I know a couple of times I would go. It's happened to me, and then I was once a part of the class. We had a 9:30, and I overslept one day, and I was like, "Crap!" Right? So I gotta go. And as soon as I'm walking out the door, I hear a knock on the door. I'm like, this is either my coach or it's one of my teammates, right? So I go to answer. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And my teacher was there to answer the door. He goes, "Hey, you ready to go to class?" And I was like, "I'll be right out."
Wow.
So that was honestly pretty cool. It was really different, but
Yeah.
pretty cool still.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of professors at Curry texting students, something like that, but I've never heard anything like that. Now, I understand that you had some family matters to attend to, and you took 2 years off after attending Laredo. So my question to you is, how does a kid from Texas find Curry?
It really happened through Coach Whittemore. I played for Coach Whittemore through a summer baseball team for my years where I was 17 and 18. He's like a second father figure to me. Means the world to me, and he's done everything to help me out. Getting out of Edinburgh was a bit challenging, but it was probably what's best for me. But yeah, and he was the whole reason I found Curry, because he had been planning to move out of Texas for a while, and he had told me about some of the schools that he was going to go to, and he told me that Curry was a school. So I looked into it, and I was like, this is a pretty nice area. I've never been to this area. This would be a really nice area to live. And I was still iffy about it. And then one day I woke up to one of my good friends who's now at LSU texting me, "Hey man, like, do what you got to do. You got to start playing again." And that's when I kind of realized, like, okay, it's like I can't stay home anymore. Like I got to go out there and live life again.
And obviously, not being from the Northeast probably takes some time getting used to. So my question to you is, what are some of the bigger adjustments that you had to make?
The first adjustment, as all of my teammates knew, was the weather.
Yeah.
I live where if it gets about 60 degrees, 70 degrees, it's like, all right, put on a sweater. And over there, the average is about 45 to 40, and it took some getting used to. I didn't leave my dorm for a good 2 weeks. It was run to class, run back to my dorm, stay inside as much as possible. Another thing was just, like, the culture and how different the people were. It was really good to see, especially like in a place where I live, where the majority of us are Mexicans, in a sense. And just to go out there again and see everyone, it was really eye opening to, like, how did I leave myself in that shell for so long? And it was really nice to see, and how everyone helped me around. Like, I know there's a bunch of workers for the school who would call me Tex or different stuff because they knew I was from Texas. And whenever I look lost, they'd ask me, "Hey, you okay? Like, you trying to find a building or something?" I was like, "I don't know where this is." And they'd help me out right away.
Yeah, and seeing as Curry is much different environment, and you've already brought up the culture aspect of it. What are your general ideas and thoughts about Curry's culture and what the experiences you've had in the shortened year? What have they taught you about yourself?
I think one of the main lessons that it taught me was that that I could be by myself. You know, for a while I was worried that I couldn't, and that first semester at Curry really changed me because I did it. I survived. I did everything on my own. I was able to live by myself, and I fell in love with everything around it. And I told my dad, I think after 2 months of being there, I think it was almost time to come back home. And I said, Dad, like, once I graduate, I don't know if I want to move back to Texas. He kind of fell silent on the phone. And I told Coach Whittemore that, and I was like, hey, like, if you don't mind, like, once I graduate, I'm not sure if I'm done with this place. He kind of looked at me and goes, dude, you've been here 2 months. And I was like, I know. That's crazy. No, so it was really nice. I'm really enjoying my time up there. It's so I can't wait to go back, honestly.
Yeah. And just one last quick question before we head out. What would you say is the biggest difference athletic wise, baseball wise?
Texas Junior College is made for guys who are supposed to go to the league, but they just need to develop like one more year, maybe a couple more months of good training. And the conference that I played in was it's really the toughest in the country. San Jack, Alum Community College, Galveston Community College, Wharton County College. It's just they get kids drafted every year. Just not too long ago, San Jack had their first rounder, Jackson Rutledge to the Nationals, and just that conference alone was, oh my God, you want to talk about great baseball. That was something beautiful to watch, and played them every weekend. We didn't win too often because they were, oh my God, man, I'm telling you. And then whenever like the D1 kids who didn't like the program, they just go there and they'd go to an even better program. I think the year that I played there, we played against San Jack. They had a kid from TCU who transferred in the semester. And then right after that, he ended up going back to Texas. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, John, it seems we have run out of time. We at Curry Talks definitely wish the baseball team best of luck next season. Thank you for coming on to talk to the show and share your experiences at Curry. And that said, I'm Conor Hanlon. I'm signing off. Thank you for tuning in, and please join us again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Greg Silvia, and this is the program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other. Today's guest is football's head coach, Skip Bandini. He's here to tell us what it's like to be a member of the football team and help us learn more about the team. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
After finishing the season 2-8, how do you plan to change that around this upcoming season to be successful?
Well, going 2-8, it comes down to a couple inches whether you win or lose a football game. And not that we like to blame the officials on anything, but we had a few, let's say, I can't think of the right word because I'm trying to be diplomatically correct here. And let's just say the calls didn't go our way.
Yeah.
And, one of those calls was giving the other team 5 downs. So I don't think our football team last year was really a 2-8 team. I think we were probably about a 5-5 team with a really bunch of young guys and a lot of seniors that really helped give direction to those young guys. And
yeah, I agree.
I think the separation between the seniors and the freshmen, I think it came, I think it worked great in our favor about, just becoming a total committed team. I just think, some of those young guys that often play, they need some experience, and they did a good job doing it. And I look forward to the future, to be honest with you. So when somebody tells me we're 2-8, well, I've been on teams who've been 12-0 or 12-1 too, and the next year it doesn't work out good. So I'm really looking forward to next year.
Yeah, sounds great. You mentioned the seniors. With the Nick Juvalier, the senior quarterback, graduating, how do you plan to replace him and still remain successful?
Well, I don't know how you replace any good players. All of our seniors are good players for us. But, the trend continues. That's what you do. When you're not sure if somebody else can step up, you find out that they can step up, and sometimes they step up more than your expectations were. I mean, we have, a couple of guys, more than a couple of guys that have been in the system for a little while now. So we have confidence in all of them. Just like when we say we recruit anybody, what we're doing is we recruit them to give them an opportunity to compete, just like they're going to in life. And I'm sure those guys are all eager to compete for the position. And I know we have some incoming freshmen that want to do the same. So it should be a great competition, and the best man will win.
You mentioned recruiting. Recruiting is key with a lot of prospects looking at Curry and other colleges. What, in your opinion, makes Curry stand out?
I think it's a great question because I try to bring this up to recruits all the time. The first thing I say is, first and foremost, it's the players on our team. I think the kids on our team are unlike anywhere else in the country. I think they're the best. I say this to the recruits all the time. I go, listen, these guys are going to have big smiles. They're going to give you big hugs. They're going to love you up, and they'll take care of you while you're here. But you don't want to get in a fight with them, because if you get a fight in lunchtime, you're going to fight all through lunch. And if you beat them at lunch, then you're going to be fighting them again at dinner. And if you beat them at dinner, next day when you wake up, you're going to be fighting during breakfast. And the trend's going to continue. In saying that, all of our guys, you'll see they're all personable, they're all professional, but none of our guys have any quit in them. So whether we're down by 20 points or 21 points in the game, you'll never see a Curry kid quit. I haven't seen one quit since I've been here. And I don't think you want to get in a tussle with a Curry kid, you know, on a football field, verbally or any other way. I think they're just going to fight as hard as they can. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but they always have that Curry spirit. And I'm pretty proud of them that way. I think the second thing is the life lessons that we're going to teach here. I don't think anybody else in the country teaches the life lessons we do, whether it's about public speaking, preparing for a job interview, whether it's has to do with the rule of 72, how fast your money doubles at a certain interest rate, why you should start your own small business, how 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans work, and much, much more. We are truly going to prepare our kids for life after football and life after college so they can go out and succeed a lot faster than the average person can in the country.
Sounds good, Coach. So with the freshmen in the conversation, you had 10 plus of them see the field. How do you help them balance school with football?
Well, I think we help them just like we help any other kid. I think Curry's got more academic help than, you know, it's not every school in the country, just about every school in the country. You know, I've been doing this for quite a while, and I know I've been at Curry for quite a while now, but nobody has the academic help that Curry has. They have study hall, you know, 5 different days of the week, mandatory 3 hours. They can do it longer. They have tutors in the Learning Commons, you know, for math or writing, or if they have to do a lecture. I don't know of any place that can do that. A kid can sign up and just say, hey, I need help, and you're going to have help with a tutor right there to help you. So I think, you know, we're just trying to get them organized that they should go to see those people for help if they do. And the other thing around here, the professors are unbelievable. You know, they really bend over backwards to try to take care of the kids. I've had some personal conversations with some professors about some kids' situations, and I can't express my sincere thanks to all of them bend over to try to take care of kids here. And I think, you know, and the other thing is this: hey, you're 18 years old. You know what I mean? You're not the little boy anymore. Mama's going to do your cooking and everything else. And hopefully your parents brought you up right for the first 18 years so you can go out and do the rest on your own. You know, and I think that's the biggest thing. Parents got to let them go. You know, I know there's a fishing term that says, you know, let them go and let them grow. Well, you got to do the same thing with people, right? You got to let the fish go and you got to let them grow. You got to do it with your kids. So, and I think we have great parents, you know, like great kids come from great parents. So we're pretty fortunate that way.
I agree. With that being said, it must be hard transitioning these young guys coming from high school to college. How do you prepare them to stay calm and composed during the game?
Well, I think we try to talk to, you know, we have a saying around Curry College that says, if you talk, you're intimidated. Some of our guys take that comment, and some of our other guys sometimes don't take that comment, but we try to teach them that all the time. Because if we're talking, the other team knows what we're thinking. If we're not talking, they don't know what we're thinking. So I think in life, if you can, you know, keep your composure, you'll be better off than you do if you're blabbing your mouth. But, no, just I think the freshmen, as long as everybody on the team, as well as everybody else on the team, it comes down to this. If you're prepared and you've competed and you've won a position, you're ready to go. Hey, we're all going to make mistakes. You know, we have that saying that, you know, if the defense gives up a touchdown, that's why God made offenses, you know, so they can go down and score. And if the offense fumbles the ball, that's why God made defenses. You know, and God didn't forget about us coaches. He made special teams, so in case we mess up, we got special teams. So I think God's got us covered in all three of those bases, so I feel pretty good about that.
Assuming this doesn't affect your game plan through the game?
Oh, not at all. Freshmen, no. If we're putting them on the field, we're putting them on the field because we have full faith in them. And they're on the field because they competed for the position they wanted. So if we think that they're better than the person on, the second string guy, we're not going to change that game plan at all.
Sounds good. Before we go, what do you think is the most important aspect of a championship football team?
I think the most important aspect of a championship football team is following the 10 Commandments of Curry. And I don't have them off the top of my head, but the first one tells you it's not all about you. It's not about your stats. It's not about how well you perform. It's about how well the team performs. And we've all had bad games and we've won, and we should be happy when we do that. I think when everybody puts everybody else's needs in front of their own and understand the tradition that we have around here and just stick and work to that goal and try to overcome adversity. And if you do those three things right there, you have a good shot of winning the championship. Hey, you need talent too, And like I always say, I'd rather be lucky than good. So we got some great players. I'm really looking forward to the future of Curry football around here. We have some super players. We have some super kids. I mean, I tell everybody this. I love the kids at Curry. I'm not just saying it. I love the kids at Curry. I try to be straight up with them, try to tell them like it is. I don't try to BS them. I think too many people BS people in the world today. And our kids are special. When they go out in the real workforce, anybody hires one of our kids, they're going to be getting a bonus plan.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Coach.
Well, thank you very much. You've been a hospitable host. You're awesome. Thanks for making me look.
I'm Greg Silvia. Please join me for another edition of Curry Talks. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Kevin P. and this is a program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other. Today's guest is Katie Smith. Katie is a student at Curry that majors in nursing and is also a basketball player. Today she'll be helping us learn more about what it is like to be a freshman female basketball player and how she handles it and her academics here on the Curry campus. Welcome, Katie. Tell me, why did you choose to play basketball for Curry out of all the other colleges?
So I actually really liked Curry's campus, and I liked the small class sizes, the size of the school, and I was able to talk to the coaches and the other girls on the team, and they all were very nice and welcoming, and I just loved the overall environment of both the school and the team, and I felt as though it would be a really good team that I could fit in with for my future.
I understand that you played point guard here at Curry. How do you feel your position fits you?
I like point guard because it's a very fast-paced position. I can run all around the court and be part of almost every play. However, it is very challenging and difficult to hear my coach and know what he's saying for what plays he wants me to run. So that can be a little difficult if I'm trying to listen to what my coach is saying in a really big, packed, crowded gym. But I also like how I can sometimes call my own plays and figure out which ones would maybe work the best for, against the team that we're playing.
There are undoubtedly some big differences playing in high school versus college because college is the next best stage. Do you mind telling us what your transition was like and the takeaways from it?
So obviously, there's a big difference between a high school sport and a college sport. Probably the biggest one is the pace. The pace is a lot faster and a lot more intense. You can never not be into the game, and there's also never a weak link on the court for either teams. So that's always difficult that every single player that you're playing is very good, and you're also playing players that are 1,000-point scorers, 2,000-point scorers, these amazing, unbelievable players that you've never played before. But with experience, obviously that will become easier. So
I know it can be extremely frustrating being on a losing team. I understand that the women's basketball team was 6-20 this season. How do you feel overall about what happened in your first season? And was it shortened by the coronavirus at all?
So coming from high school where I was on a winning team with state championships and league titles, it was difficult to go to a team that only had 6 wins the entire season. At first, that can be tough since you're not used to it and everything. It's difficult to get used to that adjustment, and it's hard to kind of keep up your confidence and motivation. But the girls on the team were all awesome, and we all supported each other and motivated each other to keep going. We never got mad at each other. We just lifted each other up when each one of us made a mistake or anything. No one ever got mad at each other, and the girls on the team really made that losing season like the best one ever. I don't think I'll ever forget that season, even though we only won 6 games. And thankfully, Corona did not shorten our season. We ended about 2 weeks before Corona could have affected our season.
Great to hear. Do you think that your team has the potential to be good in the upcoming years? Because I know that your team had a majority of freshmen on the roster and have time to develop. And if so, do you see yourself continuing to play?
Yeah, so I think our team has great potential in the future. I already saw a great difference from the first half of the season to the second half of the season with all of our players, especially the freshman ones, being more comfortable on the court, more confident, and even the team chemistry continued to build. So I could not imagine what we're going to look like in our junior, senior year if we all continue to play. And I definitely hope to continue to play because I do love basketball. And, so I hope that our whole entire team stays together so that we can become a successful team that people won't want to play.
Oops. Being a nursing major and all, how would you say basketball helps you work towards your career goals?
Playing basketball, being a nursing major, it's definitely difficult and challenging, and I feel like I never have any time to myself. But I feel like that's what being a nurse is, running around crazy, challenging, and your mind in so many spots at one time. So I feel like that's how it will greatly benefit me.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. I'm Kevin Pete, and please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Curry Talks. My name is Marcus Luddy, and this is the station where we bring members of the Curry College community together to learn and talk about each other. For today's episode, our guest is Michelle Richie. She is a junior communications major at Curry and the director of the Curry College Radio News Department. She will help us learn more about what it takes to be part of the radio business. Welcome, Michelle. Tell me, what made you want to start working in radio?
I think the ability to have my voice heard on the air and really just have, be the voice for other people.
Yeah, I definitely, when I'm on the air, I definitely am just I really like knowing my voice is heard and just that people are listening and that I can just, basically it's like your own soapbox and you can just say it pretty, you shouldn't say whatever you want, but you could,
Exactly.
it's a good time. I very much enjoyed it as well. So, freshman year, you probably started as an on-air DJ. What are some of the other things that you did in that role?
Being an on-air DJ, we have our own kind of sort of script in the station that we go through hourly, and when we are on air for different shifts, we have to play certain genres of music. So I had been on air for a lot of the country music hours, things like that, and then we'll play different PSAs. We also read on air and get the opportunity to do that even as early as our first year, and I had my own show that early as well, so it was great.
Yeah. Those are definitely fun. The reads are those are fun. And as mentioned before, you are part of the news department. What are one of the 5 departments at WMLN? What made you want to be part of the news department?
I think since I started at Curry, I really wanted to go into broadcast journalism, and that is still it's kind of the plan. And I think with the news department, we get the opportunity to do those news reads, as you know, daily at 12 and 5. And so being able to do that and get that practice meant a lot to me, and also being able to do interviews as well.
Nice. And so you are the news director. So how did you become in that role?
I started my first year in the news department. It has been the department that I've kind of sticked with since I began at WMLN, and I just really worked hard. I never really missed a news read or anything, made sure I was there on time, had everything prepared, and really went above and beyond for the department. And when it came time for like election night and when we did coverage of those things, I was really on top of it and made sure that I did the best I could and showed how much I was passionate about what I was doing.
Nice. And so clearly you've worked hard to get to where you are. How many years did it take you working in the news department to become a director?
I think I was about 2 years in when I became the news director.
So I think, yeah, well, you were assistant director my freshman year, right?
Yeah, so I was assistant director your first year, and then the year after that I became the director. Mm-hmm.
And so Curry has a very competent news department. It's very good at like monitoring everything that's going on, bringing news to the community. I remember last year I helped participate in covering the election. How does the department put news stories together to create their shows, and what sources do you use?
We work with AP. We're directly affiliated with them, and we've won a couple of awards with our work that we've done with them. It's pretty cool. And with election night, it's one of my favorite things that we do. We do it each election night, and we broadcast from the stew, and they work with us, and really just to make sure we have live coverage all the time. So if there's ever any breaking news, we stay on top of it at the station. And working with AP, we choose a couple of national stories, a couple of international stories, and then a few local stories with each of our reads. So just really working through AP and having our students work through there.
Speaking on the radio, what can be challenging for a lot of people? Like, what was it like doing your first newsread?
I think it was definitely hard. It's very nerve-wracking because you just, you're not prepared to hop on air and hop on the mic. And what is nice is you get used to it after a while because there's really nobody there to look at you a certain way. They can't see you.
Yeah, I've definitely, the first 2 times were definitely a little intimidating, but definitely the more I got into it, I was definitely just more confident, and I could, like, once I started to be able to, once I realized that one of my main things was speaking and that I just had to speak slower, my reads ended up being, I think, a lot clearer.
Yeah.
And what is the job of every member of the news department to do each day? Is there just, specific role for each person?
So I'd say that we all work as a team in most ways, but what each person does have to do is those reads that I mentioned at noon and 5. Every day we have 2 of them, so you'll have to gather those stories and you'll do a 10-minute news read on air, and we really just do that so we're on top of news all day long in between the different talk shows that we do at the station. And then we also do interviews with local people, so the department is responsible for helping with scheduling those and contacting those people.
And so how impactful has Curry been with delivering news to the campus and the surrounding area?
It's been pretty impactful. I think we've developed a really close relationship with the local police department, the local fire department. We do interviews almost every year with each of these people, with the police chief and the fire chief almost a couple of times each of the semesters, and especially when major things happen, like maybe fires in Milton, different crimes, things like that.
Nice. And so Curry College's news department and radio has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say the biggest story that you reported on has been?
There was a fire a couple of years back, my first year, and it was huge. It was something that was incredibly damaging to the town of Milton, and we actually got the fire chief in to talk about it about a couple of days after it happened, which was crazy because they were still trying to figure out how the fire had started and what the deal with everything was. So that was pretty cool for me to do, and it was actually the first interview that I did in the news department. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your goals for after college?
I hope to go into broadcast journalism. That's kind of the plan. Any sort of broadcasting I found that I'm very passionate about. So. Mm-hmm.
I definitely also enjoy journalism. Especially something that I've been thinking about was maybe working for some kind of neutral political news station, because
right.
I'm pretty centrist, so
mm-hmm.
I could really go either way. Yeah. So that's going to do it for this episode of Curry Talks. Thank you, Michelle, for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Be sure to tune in for further episodes of Curry Talks and to listen in to WMLN 91.5 FM to hear Michelle and other members of our talented radio station. Have a nice day. Here's where I'm going to end the recording.
Good morning, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm everyone's favorite host, Mike Watt. This program has been highly requested to be back on Curry TV. Curry Talks is where we learn about a member of our community and give them a chance to speak about what they do or what they have accomplished outside the Curry community. Today, the member of the Curry community we will be speaking with is Professor Bob MacNeil. Bob is a communications teacher right now at Curry, and he's here to talk about a few other things other than communications, internships, and how he worked in the news industry for quite some time. Do you have anything to say to start off, Bob?
Well, good morning. I appreciate you asking me to do this, Mike. It's fun to be on the other side of the interview for a change rather than be the interviewer.
Yeah, you care to explain on that a little bit?
Well, I spent the first part of my career in the broadcasting business, doing both radio and television for a number of years, many years as a matter of fact, as both a journalist, news reporter, news anchor, radio and TV, and also, this is an interesting time to now explore what's going on out there. So it's good to talk about it from the perspective of being now on the faculty of Curry College.
Yeah, totally. So when you worked in news, I heard that you worked at WLVI TV after graduating Curry. Was that your first time?
It was one of the jobs. No, that was not my first job. My first job was at a small radio station in Medford, as a matter of fact, Medford, Massachusetts. It was WHIL Radio, which has now been transformed into the powerhouse KISS 108.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow is right. Had different owners back in those days. And KISS 108 was WHIL AM and WHIL FM. And I was on both sides of the house, so to speak. And back in those days, WHIL FM was a country and western station. So when I was there, and the AM station, which is now a business station, they called it Beautiful Music. Actually, they played whatever they could sell. So it was, we did sports on weekend, high school sports on weekends, and music during the week. And back in the day, they did racing from Suffolk Downs in East Boston, and they used to do the race of the day and on WHIL. So that was my first start. My first experience into television was actually in Worcester at Channel 27 in Worcester, and I anchored the news out there for about a year or two.
Oh wow, I couldn't imagine how stressful that of a job that could be, being an anchor man on the news. I mean, I've wanted to do that since growing up, and I think that's kind of why I ended up interviewing you, is because I kind of wanted to see where I could be maybe and what I could become. And I saw somebody like you, our professor, told us about you, and I was immediately interested and totally just amazed at everything you had accomplished. But what is the breakthrough of your career? What would you say got really the wheels turning on your?
That's a great question, and I'm not asked that question very often. And I'll tell you, it's perseverance. You just have to go after it. If you want it, you can achieve it. But, in the industry that we're talking about, radio, television, podcasting, whatever, you got to make it happen. You got to be able to relocate. You might be in the heart of Boston and do some great internships in Boston, but you're not going to work in a large market. You've got to be willing to go to a Presque Isle, Maine, or a small town in
somewhere a little more, a little less populated. Yeah, I could totally see that. And it's weird that you say that, because most of the time when you think of kids or students that want to get into broadcasting or being on the news, they figure, let's go to the biggest market. Let's go to New York. Let's go to California. Let's go to Texas. Let's go to Boston. But to hear you actually say the opposite, it's almost like a sneak, it's almost like a sneaky trick,
You're going to get there. You're going to get there, but you have to go to the small market and make your mistakes. But I'm a graduate of Curry College, and when I was at Curry, I had a mentor. His name was Professor Roger Allen. He oversaw. We only had a radio program back in those days, but he used to call it the tall grass. He said, "You got to get into the tall grass. You got to get in there. You got to make your mistakes. You've got to learn to accept criticism. You've got to accept the criticism more than just at face value. You have to work to improve. You can't be afraid not to show your work to people and have them critique it for you, because it's only going to help you get better." And he also used to say to me, and after you do that, you got to give back. You got to help others. And so I've always kind of followed those words, but it really is true. You know, if you want to be on air, it's extremely subjective. One person can think you're terrific, and another program director or news director can say, no, I don't like that person's style. I don't want them. So, and you have to learn to accept that. And I'll be honest, it's not easy, but you're going to find that throughout your career. I don't care what level you're at.
Yep. No, totally. I agree. I mean, I feel like, that's everywhere, you know, like people's opinions are everywhere. You almost think about, like sports, like comparing even receivers today. We compare 3 receivers all the time. Who's the best? But nobody really has an exact preference or exact. That's right. There's no number one answer. So it's all
a good analogy.
Totally. It's all about the style and how we do. So enough about you working in news. But so what do you do currently now on campus? Well, I mean, not now, because
I understand. Yeah, I wish we were on campus. Believe me, you know, I really miss. One reason I wanted to come back to Curry when I had an opportunity to was because I really enjoy working with you guys. I really enjoy students. I enjoy being in the classroom. The classroom is kind of like my stage. It gives me an opportunity to talk about not my career, but how to help you prepare for your career. And I miss that. I think like most faculty members, you know, the online teaching is okay, but we really want to be able to be in the classroom with you. When I came back to Curry, I was teaching some communication courses, and then my Curry career kind of evolved, and I started teaching Introduction to Experiential Learning, the EXP 2340 course, which is mandatory before anybody can do an internship. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to teach it because of my practical experience and having been an individual who did a lot of hiring as a manager, in the broadcast industry, and I've really enjoyed teaching that course and helping students get prepared. And then I was asked to become the internship coordinator for the communication department and helping students get internships in radio, TV, in gaming, in public relations, whatever. And, you know, it's really been great. And there again, that has given me an opportunity to not only talk to students in the classroom, but to be able to talk to students in my office one-on-one, which I think is really important. And so that's what I've been doing for the last several years now, teaching EXP and being the internship coordinator for the con department.
Nice. So, did you have an internship while you attended Curry, or no? Or
well, it's really interesting. Back in the day, we didn't have an internship program at Curry when I was a student there, and we used to call ourselves gophers. You know, go for this, go for that, go. You know, and that's what I emphasize now when I talk to students. You're not a gopher. You're there to learn. And that's why every student has to write a learning contract about the 3 primary goals that they want to accomplish at an internship. Those goals have to be approved by your on-site supervisor as well as your faculty advisor. So yeah, I'll give you a quick story. My first opportunity working was at Channel 4. And there used to be a show on weekends. I'm almost embarrassed to tell this story. A show on weekends. It was a kid's show. It was called Boomtown. And the host of the show, his name was Rex Traylor. And he was a guy from Texas originally, but he had moved to New England. And he had this it was a cowboy-oriented show. And he had a studio audience with kids and all. And in fact, when I was a kid, I was actually on the show. So then I had an opportunity to intern there on Saturdays. And he had a live horse. I mean, his horse was named Gold Rush. And
Oh,
it was the meanest horse you could ever imagine. I mean, I love horses, I love animals, but this horse was mean. And so my job was to feed the horse, to keep the horse fed.
Oh, man.
It was awful. And the stupid horse tried to bite me, from time to time.
Oh, man, I can imagine.
Yeah. So that was my first claim to fame. I didn't actually put that one on my resume, but how do you put down, feeding a horse at Channel 4 on Saturday mornings? People wouldn't believe that.
Oh, no.
It was all uphill after that. So
yeah, I know, I get it. I'm sure that was probably like oh wow, like I guess this is where I start moment.
It's where I start. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all about. It's not always about the journey. Sometimes we just gotta focus on the light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So, is there like any special things for internships that you do for Curry right now? Is there any like programs or anything that you?
Well, it's very. I'm going to be very candid with you and your audience. It's very tough right now. This COVID-19 virus is something. This pandemic is something none of us have ever experienced.
Yeah.
Those of us who are, have been around a while, we've experienced a lot, and we can share experiences with you. This is something, we're all in this together, as they say, because none of us have ever experienced anything like this. And it's put a damper on internships. There's no question about it. I had 2 students all set to intern this summer at the Cape Cod Baseball League. And last Friday, they canceled the season So I have 2 students who were signed up to do internships who won't be doing those internships this summer and now are looking for something else. I have students who want to apply for fall internships, and and they ask me, what's going to happen? I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to be back on campus this fall. I don't think the administration of the college knows that at this point. But I tell students, go ahead and apply. Go on site. Look at potential internship sites that you're interested in possibly interning at. Look for applications. Apply. Send a cover letter. Send your resume if you're able to. Go to Curry Connect. Look on Curry Connect. Go to Indeed.com. Check out to see what possible internships are going to be available this fall, and then follow up. Follow up is really, really important. You can send a beautiful letter and a great resume, and then not follow up. So you have to either call the individual a place, or you have to email them. And I would, I'd apply to many sites, because it's just, you just don't know what's going to be available. We don't know what's going to be happening in September.
Totally. I mean, this is definitely something that's different, and it's definitely like scary almost. Like you don't know what's happening the next day. Like you said, like Americans, like modern Americans, we've gone through a ton of things. Like just to list off a few tragedies, like we've been through wars, we've seen national tragedies such as 9/11, Sandy Hook, and like it's crazy that this virus is preventing us from even going outside or going to work, like even being at school. Like it's just, this pandemic is totally crazy, and I totally feel for the students that had internships at the Cape League, because I actually had a friend from my hometown who plays in the Cape League.
There you go.
Yeah, and he's devastated. I mean, like that's not going. I mean, and I got another friend that he was supposed to be in the NFL draft. He was supposed to enter. He didn't even get to go to the combine or have a pro day because of it. And those kind of things, they kind of just, you said it best, they just put a damper on things, Yeah,
and you know what? We have to, this is a great time for us to communicate, and I'm not necessarily talking about through social media. I'm talking about, like what we're doing now through Zoom. A year ago, none of us had heard of Zoom, right?
No one, yeah.
6 months ago, January, most of us had never heard of Zoom. Now, Zoom is a fact of life. To be able to communicate, and we talk about physical distancing, or we talk about social distancing. I'd rather refer to it as physical distancing, because we need to be social. We need to talk to one another. We need to share stories and concerns. We need to help each other out. So there's as bad as things are right now, you have to look for that light. You have to look for the positive. And so I would say, we're getting a lot of support. I'm one of 4 internship coordinators at Curry College.
Yep.
We're getting a lot of support from the administration. Carrie Aborn in the and Nicolene Batista in the Center for Career Development are available to work with students online. You can send your resumes, you can send your cover letters, and they will correct them. I'm happy to work with communication students. And, it's still, one internship is mandatory for all communication students. So at some point, we're going to have to get everybody into some kind of internship. We're looking right now at possibly establishing remote internships. We're not quite sure how that's going to work, but we're going to try that. And I'll be honest, stations, radio stations, TV stations, PR firms, social media outlets, they're not quite sure how to do this at this point. They want you guys there, but they want you guys to be part of what they do to help them and also to learn.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult. We're just taking this almost on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, day by day. I think you said it best. So that seems kind of like the perfect place to kind of wrap things up. Do you have anything to almost say to the fans about?
I would like to just say, everybody stay strong, keep the faith, and communicate. If you're thinking about fall and courses for the fall, don't hesitate to get in touch with instructors. Don't hesitate to familiarize yourself with the courses that you're going to be taking. Don't hesitate to introduce yourself to a teacher. It's important. We're all in this together, and we don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, but we have to stay positive.
Yeah. So if you had one last thing to say, if somebody on the show, a viewer, fan, was trying to contact you about internships, resume, anything that you could do, how would they get in touch with you?
Easily via email. It's bmacneil, BMACNEIL @curry.edu. And I'm on, like everybody, you got to have something to do. I'm online almost all day,
Yep.
Except when my internet goes down, as it did this morning, but Comcast got it fixed quickly. So, bmacneil @curry.edu. I'm happy to communicate with anybody.
All right. Well, I'm Mike Watt, and this is next time. We'll see you next time, Curry Talks, and let's all stay strong together. Thank you for coming in today, Bob, via Zoom. I mean, this wasn't ideal, but thank you.
Worked out great. Good job.
Thank you. Now, stop record.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Curry Talks. My name is Nicholas Wamp, and this is a television for the members of the Curry community to learn more about each other. Today, the program guest is Nick Perfettio, a freshman college lacrosse player here at Curry. Welcome, Nick. And what made you choose Curry? Was it the academics, the student involvement, the campus, or sports?
What I gotta say, so my story is a little bit different. When I chose Curry, I didn't even apply actually before I even heard about the school. I applied, and then I actually realized I got in, and I thought it might be a good fit, close to home and everything. And then I reached out to the lacrosse coach, and we started talking, and then one thing came to another. A couple months later, I committed to Curry to play lacrosse and never really looked back. But I mean, the student involvement was a big thing for me. Like being on the team, getting to meet all the guys, and like how involved we were with like the community and everything. Like we did the suicide awareness walk. Like that was awesome. Got to go out in Boston and see what that was like. But it was probably the athletics and the academics compared together.
Okay. So as you said, being close to home was the main thing for you, and also sports in general, what high school did you play for, and did the coach come watch you at any of the games or anything like that?
Yeah, so I played at Norwell High School. I was there for 4 years. I started talking to coach, and he started talking to me and actually a couple other players on my team who are going to be at Curry next year. He came to a couple games, Coach Murphy and Coach Wilson, and even Coach Foley came to a couple games just because I was close. And I committed. Even after I committed, I still continued to come see games. And, yeah, I mean, I love those guys. They've been very good to me, so no complaints there.
Okay, what year did you start looking at Curry or any college in general to play for?
Well, any college in general was my sophomore year. I had D1 prospects my sophomore year at UVM in Quinnipiac, but realized quickly that D1 wasn't going to be my thing. I didn't think I wanted to do that. It was too much involvement. But I started talking to Curry towards the beginning of my junior year, or my senior year of high school.
Okay, so your high school position and your current position at Curry, did you play the same position, or did Coach Murphy or Coach Wilson switch you around or anything like that?
For the most part, no. In high school, I was kind of just like an offensive player. I wouldn't say I was like a midi or an attack, but like especially my senior season, I kind of just played all around offense. I wouldn't say I was specified to attack or midi, but at Curry, I'm pretty much just an offensive midi now.
Okay, so let's go into a little bit of the social life of campus. So as of right now, you're rooming with another lacrosse player or a different person or a different student?
I was rooming with another lacrosse player, my buddy Joe Stronach. I've actually known him since 6th grade. I've been playing club ball with him for a long time. So when I heard he was going to Curry, we figured we'd just room together, make everything easy. We already knew each other, knew what we were like, make the transition real easy. So yeah, I've been rooming with him since.
Okay. Did you guys have any problems so far this year? Or, like, was it smooth sailing so far?
Joe has really smelly clothes. So I'm gonna say. Otherwise, we were great. Really smelly clothes.
Okay. What did you like most about the social life on campus, or how close it is to Boston?
The social life on campus, what I liked about it is it's small enough where I can walk around all day and see people I know consistently. And then the nightlife is you still get to meet new people. New people are always popping up. Like every time I would go hang out with new people, I would always be adventurous and kind of talk to new people, see what it was like, and then hopefully become friends with those people and just get to know more people. But Curry's not that small, but it's not that big. But there's always going to be new people around the corner.
Okay, let's go into a little bit of academics and lacrosse aspect. So have you had any problems with managing lacrosse, homework, class time, maybe getting training in with the trainers, or even just doing plain homework and studying?
I wouldn't say so. The study hall hours we had to do for class or for lacrosse pretty much covered me for my homework, and then like obviously a couple extra hours of like studying and everything, but getting to class getting to practice between like classes and going to see the trainers, it wasn't really a huge deal. Normally my schedule is pretty open for that.
All right, so for my final question I would like to ask is, what advice would you have for any incoming freshmen, or which you would have wanted as a freshman coming in, or anything like that? What would be the advice you would give the incoming class?
I would say branch out. Don't, especially like if you're going to be on an athletic team, don't just be friends with the kids on the athletic team. Make friends with kids in your dorm, in your hall, in your class. Don't just be like, oh, I'm on the hockey team, I'm only going to be friends with the hockey kids, or like any other team, like the lacrosse team. Like I'm friends with more kids than just who's on the lacrosse team. So I'd say branch out and just get to know people, because the more people you know, the more fun you're probably going to have.
All right, perfect. I just want to say thank you for your time today, Nick, and I'm Nick Womp. Please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Right.
Stop this.
Welcome everybody today to Curry Talks. My name is RJ Asfatone, and today we're going to talk about a transition current Curry student went through when he moved from a warmer climate to up north here in Massachusetts. Today's guest is Sebastian Rotter. He's a senior at Curry, studying business. He came all the way from the West Coast to come to Curry, and he'll help us today understand why he decided to come up here and live on campus and how he found Curry. So you live in California. Where specifically did you grow up in?
Hi, thanks for having me on. So I grew up in San Diego, California for most of my life.
Oh, that's cool. You know, moving from a warmer climate to a colder climate. How has that changed you? You know?
It's made me appreciate the nicer weather, and it's given me a new appreciation for the good weather I grew up in.
Yeah, the good weather, it's pretty nice, you know, and up here, you decided to come to Curry because of the PAL program, and I understand you're involved in it. The PAL program is for Programmees for Active Learning. It's a place where students are given exposure and experiences through activities to help them develop their learning skills. So can you tell me more about how you heard about the PAL program in Curry?
Yeah, so when I was first going through the college process, I heard about the PAL program. I thought it was very intriguing. So I saw that Curry College had, and I just thought, with this program and this magnificent school, it would give me the best chance to thrive.
Are you still an active member of the PAL program?
I am. I've been in it for 2 years now, and I plan on sticking with it through the remainder of college.
I know earlier on you were undecided. After a while, you decided to go with the business major. Can you tell me more about why you went to the business major?
Yeah, so originally I was a comm student, but then I ended up going for business studies because I didn't know what I didn't know originally I didn't know what I wanted to do, but then when I got into business, I then found a passion and liking for it.
Do you like your major? Can you talk to me more about why you chose it?
Yeah, so I really do. So I have a passion for sports, and I feel like this is very broad. So anywhere I want to have a career, and I feel like I can manage it pretty well. So that's why I chose this major.
And being involved around campus, how has your major helped you stay involved?
I'm not really involved because I have a lot on my plate. However, I attend all the events that college sets up, such as like sporting events and lectures. So I try to stay as active as I can on campus.
I know you were on the rugby team. How did you learn about it? Can you tell me more about your experience with rugby?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I met some good buddies of mine that were on the rugby team, and they told me to try out. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And from that point on, I was part of the team.
Throughout your time here, what has made you enjoy living here, and have you explored Boston at all?
Yes, actually, it's quite close to Boston, so I enjoy watching the football and basketball games. You know, the New England Patriots are quite successful, so I've explored the city on multiple occasions. I've visited some of the Ivy League schools, which have been very interesting to me.
Did your family agree with coming here?
Yes, I think no matter what, my family would have supported my decision, but having a great opportunity to come to Curry College, I don't think there was anything they needed to worry about.
And are there any dislikes, you know, like, coming here? You know,
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Growing up in San Diego, the weather sometimes gets too bad, but it's not that horrible. Like, that would be my only complaint.
Lastly, after graduating, do you plan on like living here or moving back?
I plan on going back to California, to be honest, but I love it there too. So I love it there too much to move away from it, just to be honest.
I completely understand. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm RJ Asfatone. Thank you for joining me in today's edition of Curry Talks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Samantha, and this is the program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other. Today's guest is Mackenzie Hayes. She is in the class of 2021, and she is here to talk about her role in C and other ways how you can get involved. Mackenzie is the president of C, and C stands for the Student Entertainment and Events. Welcome, Mackenzie. So tell me, what does C actually do?
Hi, Samantha. So C is, like you stated, your Student Entertainment and Events Club here at Curry, and we basically run all of the entertainment and events you'll see on campus. So we do programs on weekends, weekdays, really anything that students want, we bring to life here at Curry.
Awesome. So why did you want to get involved in C?
So probably the same reason as any lost first year. I didn't really have many friends, couldn't really find my social group. And so I finally went to the involvement fair and said, you know what, why not try and sign up for something? And C really caught my eye because I had some amazing ladies reaching out to me and just making me feel welcome. And I decided to show up for one meeting and I was hooked for the rest.
I definitely feel that when I went to my first meeting, like everyone was just so welcoming, and that's why I definitely want to continue with it.
That's exactly what we tried to do.
So what other positions actually make up the team, and how are the duties assigned?
So right now we have some rock star ladies on our executive board within C, including the vice president position. We also have the marketing committee chair, which runs basically all of our social media and marketing strategies. We have a catering committee chair who runs all the food you would see at our events, any sort of catering, any giveaways, kind of stuff like that. And we also have our decorations committee chair who is in charge of like the whole ambiance and aesthetic of the group or of the event, sorry. And we are a complete democracy, so everyone is voted in. No one is given seniority status. So whoever the general members want as their leaders will be their leaders.
That's awesome. Okay. So I haven't been to any events personally because, the virus going on, and then just a busy first freshman semester for myself. But so far, like the event that I've looked into and I really think is cool is the Fall into Friday. So what is your favorite event?
So Fall into Friday is definitely one of my favorite. It's a great way for our first year general members to get involved and run their own event and really have a say in what goes on. So it's really like a social gathering. So I really like it just to get your social bearings around Curry. So that is one of my favorites, but my all-time favorite is Super Bingo, where we give away super prizes like AirPods, Apple Watches. We've given away GoPros. Last semester we gave away a Nintendo Switch. It is insane. Our events typically have between 50 to 100 people in attendance, and for Super Bingo we have 300 plus in attendance. So super popular.
That's awesome. So what is the plan for the upcoming fall, and how can people get involved?
So obviously in the fall we hope to be physically on campus. And hoping that we are. To get involved, simply follow our Instagram, contact us through either Instagram, Facebook, our email, any sort of platform you prefer, and just show up to general meetings. If you can't show up to general meetings, again, just contact us. We'll tell you when events are happening, what's going on. You might not have a say in what happens in the event if you can't show up to the meeting, but you can definitely volunteer and easily become a member of C.
How do you decide on what events to have, and is student input always welcome?
So again, we are a total democracy, so general members have all the say. The only thing we have is an advisor just to basically tell us, oh, your funds are this, your funds are that, and kind of filter our thoughts into what can actually happen. So yeah, complete democracy. Anything the general members say or want, we will make it happen as an executive board.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. And to learn more about C, like Mackenzie said, follow their Instagram at CurryC so you can get more involved in the fall. I'm Samantha, and please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Tommy Noonan, and this is a program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other and what Curry College has to offer. Today's guest is Brian Doherty.
Nice to meet you.
He's a sophomore business major here at Curry College. He's going to help us learn a little bit about what it's like to prepare yourself for going abroad and how he attained a placement to go abroad. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. So tell me, what made you want to go abroad in the first place?
Well, since Curry is a smaller school, I was pretty much looking for an opportunity to branch out, meet some new people, and I got a hold of the abroad program, which you, as my roommate, got me into, a little influence on me. But I saw that I could branch out of Massachusetts, go learn about new cultures, and study in a different place, and I thought, why not?
No, yeah. Definitely take advantage of something like that. How did you get yourself all together to hopefully study abroad in Australia in the fall? And right now, with what's going on with the coronavirus, we know that there could be a little bit of a delay on when we do go over there. So what's that look like?
Well, at least for Curry, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of online resources that gives you a lot of good examples of what to expect. And also, it was really easy to set up a meeting with the abroad advisor. His name was Ned Bradford. He was a good resource. He sat down with me and really gave me a good layout of what I had to do and the dates I had to be finished by.
Nice. So what, not really one of the questions, but what is your thought for possibly going abroad? When do you think it's going to happen, just because what's going on right now in the world?
Well, I don't know. We'd hope for it to happen in a fall semester, but I think spring semester would be the earliest any of that traveling will open up.
Yeah, that'll probably look more realistic, probably sometime in the spring. What's the university you're studying at, and what's it like?
So the university I was looking into was located in Brisbane, Australia, on the southern coast. It's the Sunshine Coast, right?
Yeah, not the Gold Coast. We were looking there earlier, but Sunshine was a little bit more fitting.
It was a Sunshine Coast. It looked like a great community, pretty local place, surrounded by beautiful places and beaches.
Yeah, it's a really nice we got a nice location over there. There's a bunch of little local spots and villages and plenty of beach area for us to relax and have fun at. A kid wondering, students will probably wonder when they're going abroad, what's the cost? How much is this going to run me? How much are you going to end up paying for the semester abroad?
So to be completely honest, it's not a bad cost at all. It was about $11,000 a semester, I believe.
Yep.
And that includes housing, room, right?
There's board, housing. Yeah, we got the food options paid for. You're really only paying for your daily spending money at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's like only about a quarter of what you're paying to go to Curry, maybe.
No, yeah, definitely. So it's kind of like that, no-brainer type thing. You're just gonna, why wouldn't I go?
Absolutely.
What are you most excited to do? I mean, when I was planning on going down there, I wanted to try to do some 4x4 tours, get surfing a little bit, maybe even snorkel. What were you planning to do?
Yeah, no, I'd love to go out and adventure, through what they have to offer, through the beaches and mountains, whatever, go on hikes. I like all that stuff. Also, you have amazing access to the water. Might as well try out scuba diving if I want.
Absolutely. They got the Great Barrier Reef, which is one of the craziest things, at least I've seen, one of the natural formations on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a second choice and Australia didn't work out, where do you think you'd go?
I'd say over in Italy, Florence, Rome area, because I've heard a bunch of cool stories from there from past friends who went to Curry who went there, said it was awesome.
Yeah, I've had a couple of friends go there.
Just looking to travel and really see new places, learn about new cultures.
Yeah, like we all are, realistically. Well, hey, thanks for your time today, and I hope that you talking kind of let kids know, hey, this is an easy process to take care of. It's not really far out of reach. A lot of kids might get nervous when they're thinking about going abroad, but Curry really makes it simple, and the resources there are really going to help you out. But thanks again, and thank you for joining us on another edition of Curry Talks.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. No problem.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Zach Fox, your host. I'm here with Jack Sapino, the sports coordinator for WMLN. Welcome, Jack.
How you doing?
So I had a couple questions to ask you today. So tell me what made you join WMLN?
Well, it kind of all started when I wanted to go to college. That was kind of the idea of what I wanted to do, was be involved in radio. And I started out kind of being that kid looking for what to do at the beginning of, I believe it was that first day of orientation. There was a radio station. I ran over and said, hey, I want to be on radio. That's kind of how it all started. And that's been the dream. And I continue to kind of think about radio every single day.
Yeah. So when you first joined the radio station, what was your first impression? Like, was it what you expected or was it different?
Well, I think in the beginning you have a lot of thoughts about kind of how radio is going to go. However, in the beginning, I wasn't expecting how much hands-on of doing things. I thought I'd be taught different things in the radio station. It's kind of one of those lead by example. So you watch someone and then you learn how to do that type of thing. In the beginning, I really thought I would learn a lot about the technology, a lot about kind of what's going on, how radios use their voice. You kind of have to think about that and learn through the different classes of communication, such as, voice and communication. So using those kind of tools helped me instead of my first impression, which was the idea of, well, I thought I was going to learn about this. I thought you were going to teach me this.
Yeah. You just came back from Ireland, from studying abroad. So what did you do there? What did you learn there? How did it affect what you do at Curry?
So it's completely different over in Ireland, what they do in radio. They have a very strict schedule of what they need to do. I noticed that it's a lot of scheduling, and a lot of what Curry doesn't do is we don't really have a script in front of us. So I learned a lot about script writing and how to do scripts over there in Ireland. And I also learned about stings, which are little jingles that they use over there in Ireland. And also I took this idea of how important sound is to the world of radio, but also to the world in general. And over in Ireland, they really emphasize how important sound is and how important it can be on radio, using different sound effects to create that story. So I learned so much about that, and I took that back over here and started to think about, especially now where we don't have radio. I don't have radio right now because during this pandemic. So I started to do podcasts and think about how audio can really change the way we listen or way we think about things to create a story.
Yeah, that makes sense. So once you got back from Ireland, you were promoted to sports coordinator. So what responsibilities does that entail?
So being promoted to sports coordinator was a pretty big step up from where I was in the beginning. I looked at it as an opportunity. I looked at it as it was my time to shine, and I took everything I could with the opportunity. So it meant so much to me. And what I do as a coordinator is I pretty much talk with the other kids in the group with their position is they are a director. So I talk with them about kind of what we're thinking of doing. I came up with the ideas of doing PSAs, public service announcements, but also commercials for sports at Curry, talking about this idea of, okay, well, this is coming up next. We want to hear from an athlete's perspective, and kind of see what their thoughts are about the game, but also kind of the commercial of, Curry Sports is coming up. You're listening to Curry Sports with an example would be Philip Ledwig, baseball player on Curry's baseball team. So I wanted to create those little stories, those little moments. And as a coordinator, I work on a show called Sports Corner, working on that show, continuing to kind of bring up the sports in Boston as well as around Curry, and pretty much kind of working with everyone else in the radio station.
Well, thank you, Jack. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm Zach Fox, and please join us again for another Curry Talks. Thank you, Jack.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Zach Muller, and this is a program where members of the Curry community learn more about each other. Today's guest is Matthew Evans. He's a senior business major and also the president of the rugby club here at Curry. He is here today to teach us about their great program. Tell me, Matt, what is the rugby program all about?
So the rugby program, well, I'll tell you first the reason why I joined. Coming in as a freshman, it's hard. There's not really a lot of people you know on campus, other than the people you've met through orientation, maybe through the Facebook page. So one of the big reasons I joined is because some other people in my hallway were playing, and I was almost looking for a way to kind of get to know them. And I think that's one of the big things that our program is about, is getting to know people and reaching out, because we really do have people from all walks of life on our team. And you get to meet so many new people, and you get to form so many new friendships. And we do play rugby, but I think what keeps people on the team, what keeps people in the program, is the camaraderie and the friendships that we make. And I feel like that's really what our program is all about.
Well, that's good. It's nice to hear that you guys are welcoming new faces with open arms. So what are the basic rules of rugby, and just so that our viewers can understand the game a little bit better?
Yeah, so if you've never watched a game of rugby, it can almost look more like a kindergarten recess. There's really like no structure to it per se. Where like in football you would have like set plays and that type of thing. Rugby is more set up almost like a hybrid of soccer and football. The one weird rule that really gets people is that you can't throw the ball forwards. It always has to be backwards. If you throw it forwards, it's an automatic penalty, turnover. So that's one of the big things is people will see the ball going backwards. It's like they're not really making any progress that way. Why are they doing that? Oh, it's a rule. We have uprights. If you kick it through the uprights from the field of play, that's 3 points. You score a try by getting it all the way down the field past the defense, past all 15 other guys on the other team. You actually have to physically touch the ball down with downward pressure for it to count, and that counts as 5 points. So that's your scoring right there. You do get 2 extra points for a conversion, much the same way in football as you would kick a conversion after a touchdown. After a try in rugby, you kick a conversion 22 meters back from the point that you scored. So if you touch it down in the middle of the zone, you got a kick with the uprights. If you touch it down near the sideline, you then have to deal with that angle. Tackle-wise, there's no tackles above the chest. It's a dangerous tackle. It'll be a turnover. It'll be a yellow card. You get 10 minutes for a yellow card. If you get 2 yellow cards, you get a red. You're kicked out of the game. Your team has to play down 1. I feel like those are all the big ones. There is another kind of like set play called a line out, where it's kind of like a basketball inbounds pass, but two big guys will really just throw one small guy up in the air to try to get it over the other team. That's about as crazy as it gets, though. Other than that, it's pretty easy to follow and pretty easy to get used to the flow of action once you've been watching it.
Gotcha. That was a very detailed answer. I'm sure our viewers better understand it now. I myself feel like an expert. So I understand the team is currently considered a club and not recognized as a NCAA sport. So what are you guys doing to change that?
So to be completely honest, that's not really something that our club can do. What the NCAA dictates is so far above our head that we don't really have any influence in that. Currently, although it's not an NCAA sport because mostly of liability issues and just because it hasn't become as big in the States yet. Not every school has a rugby team. Pretty much every school has a football team. Pretty much every school has a baseball team. And as a result, those are NCAA sports. But rugby is still kind of in the fledgling stages in America. So we don't have NCAA recognition and probably won't for a very long time. Where we fight our battle is just because we're not an NCAA sport doesn't mean we can't be a varsity sport. Being a varsity sport is completely up to the school. And for a couple years now, campaigning might be a strong word, but we've maybe been trying to plant the seeds for the future. Because if we were a varsity sport, we'd be able to recruit kids out of high school to play for us. We'd be able to get funding from the athletic department of our school. We would have access to trainers from the athletic department and a whole lot of other perks that, the other varsity teams get. So to answer your question, we can't be an NCAA sport and probably won't be for a while, but we're definitely trying to become varsity within the school.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully that's sooner rather than later. So just as a follow-up to that, what does a club rugby season look like? What's the schedule? Do you have any big rivals? Are there playoffs? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So one interesting thing is our rival is actually LaSalle College. Being a club sport, we don't have, we're not able to recruit kids. So a lot of the programs that we play against aren't as stable as us. We're pretty lucky where we've had a pretty stable amount of kids through the 4 years that I've been here. So we've always been in one of the upper divisions. We've always, been able to play our games. We've always been able to finish our season. But LaSalle, actually, we beat them so badly last year. We beat them 110-5 that they got kicked out of our division. That's something that doesn't happen in varsity sports. So, we do have a regular season. It's normally 6 or 7 games. Before it was 5 this year. The conference there was the birth of a conference. Before we didn't even have that. It was just we played 5 teams in our division, and that team would move on. But now we have a conference. So there's 20 teams total. There's 4 divisions of 5. And we have a full playoff system within that. So we have a 6-game regular season. And then if all goes to plan, you play 4 more in the playoffs. You play a quarterfinal, a semifinal, and then a series of 2 for the final. So that's really what our season looks like. Unfortunately, it ended a little bit early this year. We lost in the first round of the playoffs, but we had gone undefeated in the division, and it looked pretty nice there. So,
gotcha. Well, it sounds like a lot of hard work, but also a lot of fun. So how many players do you guys have, and can anyone join?
So right now, as of this season, we hit a peak of 21 or 22 guys, I believe. That number is taking a huge dive. We had a couple transfers, and we had, I believe, 11 guys graduate. There was 11 seniors on the squad. So going into next year, we only have 7 guys. Yes, we do take anybody. Because of that, you need 15 people to play a full game, and that's with no substitutes. And sitting at 7, there has been times where I've been on the squad where we've played a full season with 15 guys. You're playing every game 80 minutes without subs, and it honestly, it comes down to a numbers game a lot of the times. You just got to get bodies. So we really do take anybody. The nice part about rugby is that pretty much athleticism from any other sport translates well into rugby. I played baseball for 12 years. I never played a contact sport, and I just finished up my senior season. There's other guys that have played football, for 10 plus years that are in there, guys who played the lacrosse. We have a couple kids that have just played, church league ultimate frisbee, and they step onto our team and have done pretty well. So it's the type of thing where we take anybody because we need to, but also because anybody can pick it up. It's everybody's on even terms when they're learning a new sport.
Gotcha. Well, I hope next season you guys have a lot more faces, so you guys have enough to keep playing. Okay, so before we go, if someone has any interest in joining the team, how can they reach you or the coach?
So they can email me. I'll be the president for the rest of this year. Next year, we'll move into a new president, but you can reach me at mevans2016@students.curry.edu, and I will forward that on to the appropriate parties if you're interested.
Cool, sounds good. Well, that's all the time we have today. Matt, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Zach.
Of course. And that's going to do it for today's edition of Curry Talks. I'm Zach Muller, signing off.
Recording. Good afternoon and welcome to Curry Talks. where the Curry community can learn more about one another. My name is Haley Bishop, and I will be your host today. I am here with Devin Corbett. Devin is the Coordinator Director of the Wellness Education at Curry. Welcome, Devin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great having you. My first question is, Devin, you have been working at Curry as the Wellness Director. What made you come to Curry?
I came to Curry because of this position. I was looking for exactly this. You know, I wanted the opportunity. I'm very passionate about student wellness, wellness trends. I do yoga, I do meditation, but also I'm very passionate about sexual assault prevention education and alcohol and other drug education and prevention. And all of this is wrapped up in my role here at Curry. And so Curry is a small school, and I like small schools, and so I felt that it was the perfect fit for me based on institution type and then the role within itself and how I would have so many different opportunities within the realm of wellness to work on and to support students through.
That's awesome. I know myself, you know, you run yoga classes and meditation and things like that, so I've really enjoyed going weekly when you do them, and I think it's really cool with the coronavirus. Unfortunately, we can still do things like that online, so there's still a bit of a social media base along with wellness education at Curry.
Definitely.
My
Try to
second
keep in touch.
Oh yeah, definitely. My second question is, the Wellness Center has many different programs and services for the students. Can you describe some of the important services that are offered here?
Yeah, so within the Wellness Center is my office. We have the Health Center, we have the Counseling Center, as well as Residence Life, the Dean of Students Office, and Community Standards and Accountability. So within that building, you have pretty much all of your student support services that you may need. And so I think as a division, we try to offer various programs and initiatives to support students in all aspects of their wellness. So particularly in my office, we have the 6 dimensions of wellness. And so we try to offer programs that address students' social wellness, their physical wellness, their spiritual wellness, their intellectual wellness, occupational wellness, and what is it? Oh, emotional wellness. All our programs tend to fall under those dimensions, and we try really hard to offer some coping skills. I know students tend to struggle the most with stress, with mental health and things that they may be experiencing either, you know, at home or in their personal lives outside of the classroom. And so offering things like you had mentioned, I offer the weekly meditation. I try to offer a little bit of like some coping skills, some resources when it comes to, you know, substance use and things like that as well. And just fun things, you know, like we bring goat yoga to campus, and I've done like a ukulele workshop and things like that. We've done Afro flow yoga and other various types of fun yoga programs and stuff. So anyways, for students to kind of unwind, de-stress, we bring therapy animals and things like that too. So whatever works for students in terms of taking care of themselves and focusing on self-care and taking a break from academics.
I loved goat yoga when we had it because I'm in student events and entertainment, so we were sort of a part of that.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool thing that we could bring animals to campus and help people.
Animals make people's day, that's for sure.
Definitely. It's always nice to have them around.
Yes.
My third question is, some of the other support services on campus offer walk-in services. Do you have a similar service, or do students need to make an appointment to access various programs at the Wellness Center?
So through my office, students are welcome to email me. I typically only do one-on-ones for students that go through the community standards process, but I'm happy to meet with students. I do have the opportunity to do wellness check-ins and to address the 6 dimensions with students on a one-on-one basis, and help them kind of come up with a plan to, you know, take better care of themselves and focus on their well-being. And so there is always an option for that, and students are able to email me at devin.corbett@curry.edu, and I'm more than happy to schedule some one-on-one appointments for sure.
That's awesome. I know I've stopped by a couple times, so it's good to just, have the brief overview of what the 6 dimensions are, since I know it helped me in my freshman year at Curry. My 4th question is, I have participated in meditation at the Wellness Center. How can the practice of mindfulness help the students at Curry?
So taking time for yourself and mindfulness is so important. I think we tend to get caught up in the day-to-day life, our stresses, things that are happening to us or in our families, and so it's important to schedule time for us. And so with mindfulness, there's always meditation, there's forms of movement to be mindful, you can even eat mindfully. Taking time to allow your thoughts and emotions to just be present with you is so important. In terms of, honoring where you are and having that ability to even grow and move forward in those emotions and in that stress. If we don't allow the time to feel those things, we tend to bottle them up, and then there's an explosion, or you have a panic attack, or you feel really stressed, or you get sick, or things like that. So it's really important that you allow yourself the time to feel those things and think through those things, and just the space to breathe. I know, especially like for me, throughout my day, I tend to hold my breath a lot. It's just like who I am. And so having reminders to just like take a deep breath, or to focus on my breath and be present, especially with social media and our phones at our fingertips, we're just going, and we're receiving a lot of content. And it's really important to take some time to just be in the present moment and put our phones down, and just let ourselves be. And I think a good way to do that is to practice gratitude as well. So taking a moment to think, like what am I grateful for in this moment, or what is something good that happened to me today?
I think that's definitely important. I know my psychology professor, Aaron Daniels, he had spoken about how our phones make us anxious. And so I've, in quarantine, tried to put my phone away and read more. I know before I had my iPhone, I used to read all the time and, do meditation and things like that. But I think it's good for me, especially as a student, to have a schedule. And I think it's good that with, being away at college, that there are sort of blocked in times for classes. So if you feel like you can't, be somewhere or get somewhere, you can always have a planner and make a schedule.
And one of the things that I like to tell my students is that you have the time. I know a lot of people say like, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. You control your schedule and your life. You have the time to give yourself at least an hour to focus on your self-care and your well-being. And so it's a matter of scheduling that. If that means, waking up a little bit early, or going, like adjusting your sleep schedule so that you're getting your 7 to 8 hours, but you have some time at the beginning or the end of your day, or even a lunch break, to focus on your well-being and mindfulness.
Definitely. That's my favorite part at Curry. I always tell people that you're one of my favorite people to talk to at Curry, and I really like the activities that you provide on campus.
Thank you so much, Haley. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Students,
it's been a little over 5 minutes. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to stop?
Oh, I can stop now.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was a good ending spot. I thought those were great questions.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking with me about this too.
Of course.
It was really nice.
Of course.
And it gave me a lot of, information. So.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Ashley, and I'm joined with Kyle Atkins, the point guard at Curry College.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
All right. Today we're going to be talking about his transition from Quinnipiac University to Curry College. So first off, Kyle, what's your major?
So my major is sociology right now.
Okay. And why did you choose sociology?
Honestly, it just lines up with what I want to do later on in life. I want to go to law school, so sociology would create a good path for me so that I could pursue law school.
Okay. So after law school, what do you intend on being?
I want to be a lawyer. I'm not sure which type of lawyer I want to be yet. I'm probably going to figure that out when I go to law school, but as of right now, I definitely want to become a lawyer after law school.
Okay. So you're from New York. So how was your transition from New York to Boston?
It was pretty good, actually. I really like it. It's very similar. A lot of similar places being on the East Coast, so I actually like it a lot.
So Quinnipiac University, that's a Division I school, and Curry College is a Division III school. So was it mainly on basketball or academics?
Personally, I would say for me, basketball. Obviously, I just wanted somewhere else where I could play and get a better opportunity to play the sport that I love.
So tell me the difference between Division I and Division III.
So I would say the main difference is just high intensity. Everything is a little bit faster at the Division I level. I think both levels do take everything serious. I just think that the Division I level is just obviously just more intense, to be honest.
Okay. So with Division I, are y'all able to start training as soon as y'all get to the school?
Yeah, we are. Depending on when you get to your school in the summer, you usually have to take classes, and then you also are able to start training right away.
Okay. So what did you miss more from Quinnipiac than at Curry?
Honestly, just Quinnipiac being a bigger school, I would say. Just more people. There's more resources since it's a bigger school. But besides that, nothing really. Everything is very similar at Curry.
If you could take one thing from Quinnipiac and bring it to Curry, what would that be?
Just the size, I would say. Just more people.
Okay, so it's the second semester. It was the second semester, and school's ending right now. How did you fit in at Curry?
I thought I fit in well. Thanks to my teammates a lot. They really just showed me around, showed me the ways around campus and with the team and everything that we do. So I think I fit in pretty well.
So, with next year coming up, it will be your junior year?
Yeah, my junior year.
What do you plan on improving in your game?
I want to just be consistent in everything I do, whether that may be on the offensive end or defensive end. Definitely developing my jump shot so it could be more consistent. Showing people that I can control the game, control tempo. I'm a floor general out there, and being able to help my teammates, put my teammates in the right position for them to score and just succeed.
What was your favorite part about playing basketball at Curry?
I think the camaraderie, just everybody on the team is really chill. I really like everybody on the team, and they all made me feel welcome when I came.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you once again, Kyle, for your time. And
No problem. Thank you for having me.